Welcome to the live today. This is Success After iOS14 with Andy. You can find him at Get With Andy and getwithandy.com. You can check him out. We're going to be talking about the success he's having right now on Facebook ads after iOS14, building brands. He also went through the Facebook Ads MBA program. Please feel free to follow him, subscribe to this channel, hit like, comment with questions that you might have, and DM him if you want his help or have any questions for him, or hey, if you want to hire him to do some work for you. That's what this is all about, trying to help you all be successful. And hey, why not help other people be, successful too? So feel free, comment with your questions, reply back with answers to stuff, subscribe here, hit like, follow the guy. I think you're really going to enjoy this. We've spent the last 3 or 4 months or so together really turning things around, and I cannot be more happy with the success that he's been having. It has been just a beautiful growth. And with that being said, I'll introduce him to the table right now. Andy, great to see you, my man. I feel like I tried to set the table as much as I can, but go ahead and introduce yourself with anything else that I've possibly forgotten.
How you doing, Charlie? Yeah. So a little bit about myself. I've been an entrepreneur in some way or another since I was a little kid. Actually, how I got into it is I got scammed, and then I'm like, if one of these scams got me, it must be some kind of psychology behind it. So I dug into the rabbit hole, and so I was just working on all kinds of businesses over time, and that obviously leads into like advertising, funnel building, all kinds of stuff, and coming up with I was doing lots of marketing. And with Facebook ads, Google, all kinds of stuff, and then the iOS hit, and I lost like 90% of my customers overnight. Yeah, just gone. Income went to like 200. So I started to pivot into e-commerce, got more into Facebook ads, and that's how I discovered. I joined all these like guru groups, experts, just started applying everything. And that's how I discovered you in the first place, right? And so I started following your stuff, and man, it was just the results I got from your free stuff online, just the tips here and there, got me like I'm cutting my hours from like 3 hours a day per client to maybe like 3 hours a week, just manage stuff. So I cut my time in half, and iOS was coming up. And I started getting nervous about that. And then again, a couple of your advice, it's just like, so I just started following how you're tracking, how you're optimizing. And then bam, iOS hit. None of my clients had an impact, Maybe for like a month, there's a little shaky. Sure. Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? If you got me so much value compared to all the other groups and all these other, experts that I've bought into, why not join the program? So that's why I took that move. And yeah, 4 months later, man, I have more case studies than I can count at this point. And the best thing is I don't have like a niche. All my clients are like from like SaaS to like beauty brands to like, just they're very different. And the principles I learned from the MBA program it's almost like universal, because it's more like focused on business growth and stuff. So flash forward today, just the Facebook really isn't like an issue I deal with on a daily basis anymore. That makes sense. Yeah.
No, I think that's great. It totally makes sense. And that's really, what we try to do. I'm curious, like, everybody kind of defines success a little bit differently, right? And I think that's fair. Everybody's version of that can absolutely look different. And, what does like the last 3 or 4 months look like for you? I think it's been rough around the board for some people, but yeah, I have a good idea of what that looks like, but I think it'd be great for people to hear from you what that success looks like.
Yeah. So a lot of my clients have scaled more than ever before, even compared to like the previous year. Like I had an account where it took me just about the year to bring the CPA from like 60 down to like under 50. And then from December to now, it's at 30, just from applying some of the principles. And not only that,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So, and then I'm like, whoa, okay. And then the CPMs dropped from 40, 50 to, I don't think I have an account that has a CPM over 20 at this point.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. I
And
love it.
took on a couple new brands and apparel brands. I had one client ask me, I had one DM ask me, do you even see CPAs under like $10 anymore? Well, I just had a month of CPAs like $3 to $4 at a couple hundred to spend a day, like
That's
so
fantastic.
Yeah. And these are just some of the case studies that I attribute, almost all to just chatting with you and yeah. So that's the last couple months.
I love that, man. I mean, what I love there is, one, people in disbelief of like the fact that you could ever even do something like that. I also like that you're, generating really good results on what is, often considered relatively low spend for people. A couple $100 a day. Some folks are like, well, if you're not spending this, like none of this stuff will possibly work.
Yeah.
But it's like, I always tell people, if you're not spending a couple $1,000s a day, can you actually afford to do things poorly? And the answer to that is probably no. And you're doing things correctly, even at a couple $100s a day, and driving CPMs under $20, making sales for under $5. Like, that is driving revenue on a consistent, projectable, scalable fashion. Like, how is that not awesome? I just, that's so great. I love hearing that. I think, one of the things that I remember from one of our calls is just the idea of like having that scalable solution and having that confidence to get there. And like, just hearing you talk about it, it's like the idea that you can't just sit in there and just crush it is almost foreign now. Like, I have full confidence. I could literally just hand you something on, I could hand you a dumpster fire and you'd be like, give me 30 days. It'll be fine.
It's almost structured in a way where so that I have one brand I was working on, was a brand new company, never advertised online, and they don't even know what product to push first. Just zero data. And just from testing, it was almost inevitable that the CPA goes down, that we figure out the product fit. It's like mathematical certainty almost,
Yeah.
And I had another brand that scaled from it was just 200 a day. Now it's over 1,000 a day in spend, and that would have used to freak me out, like, how to do. But now it's just like, okay, I just got to do these things for the next step. It's like
I love that. Like, that kind of scale is tremendous. I mean, at a completely other level, I've taken a brand from 200,000 a month to 30,000, 40,000 a day in the last 120 days. I mean, this is awesome. May.
Yeah.
Same. The point is 200 to 1,000 versus 200,000 to 1,000,000.
Yeah.
The point is, like, it happens. Like, that's totally possible regardless of your level of scale, because what we talk about a lot is, and I feel like what you've communicated to me too about that confidence is just that system and process and mathematical. You used the term mathematical certainty. I love it. I say it's not an if question anymore. It's a when question, right? And if you know that, like, cool, I have to do this, that, and the other thing, we're going to be fine. A lot of times I hear people talk about things. I don't know if you've ever heard this. I make this reference every now and again, but like, they're the underpants gnomes from South Park. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I think so, yeah.
All right, so step 1, steal underpants.
Yeah, I remember them.
Step 3, profit. There's no step 2. Yeah. And that's honestly like 90% of the marketers that I talk about. It's like, step 1, work really hard. Step 3, take credit for everybody's success. And it's like, there's not, like, that's not a path. That's not a plan. Like, there's a reason why all of these groups and these, private Slack channels with agencies and, private Facebook groups that are premium and stuff, all these folks, like, they might be working really hard and they might get you success for a week or two, but that's not a scalable solution. And I think, if you had to describe maybe what you're doing now over the last 3 or 4 months, like, what do your accounts look like? What does that strategy look like? I think people would love to know, like, sure, you're one person that's been successful on brands from a couple hundred to more. what does it look like for you to you know, on the day-to-day, what your account structure looks like and what you're thinking about?
Yeah, the account structures are really simple. It's not something, you know, speaking of those groups, like I said, I've been through a couple of them, and I've tried. I mean, the other year I tried like probably 4 or 5 different strategies. All this ABO, and you know the deal, and it never really led to it never really led to long-term success. But now all I'm doing, for the majority of accounts is just creative testing and just increasing budget, and that leads to it's really not that, obviously the larger accounts is a little more involved with that, but for the most part I'm not really thinking about I used to spend like 3 hours to like research and just figure out the next step. Now I have the like 30-day, 60-day, 90-day plan to see what it looks like. So I wake up, just check health check of the account, see the tracking, and then your measurement protocol, see the health check, and just publish ads and get ready for the next week. like the numbers kind of fill in itself. I mean, if there's a bad week, I'm not worried about it. If there's 2 weeks that are bad, I'm not worried about it because we built in systems in place to be ready for that.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how much to get into more details. Now it's like, how do we take the business to the next level?
Yeah.
How do we use the feedback from the creative testing to grow the brand, to get that message to market match signal a lot stronger? How do we develop more control variables to just have multiple signals to where it becomes like a song, a symphony? So how do we use that to get buyers to become customers? And it's almost like the brand develops itself after that point. It's like an emergent property.
Yeah,
of, all the creative testing that's happening.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because it is totally about biz dev and planning and trying to make that stuff work. Because at the end of the day, I mean, in my experience at least, Facebook ads amplify an existing business model. And I see, basically the idea of an ad agency and the lie of attribution, as far as I'm concerned, is built around, well, we get credit for something. So then every report and every decision is ultimately predicated on how do we take more credit for more success. And that's a very different conversation than how do we make sure that this brand is developing and growing and makes its own life cycle and develops? Like, how do we make that work? And I love that you're making that pivot and the idea of like a symphony with it. I love it because it's exactly what it is, I'm curious because everybody says creative testing. Like, what is creative testing? What does that creative testing process look like for you?
We usually take a look at the demographic data and try to split it into whatever angles we could find, or existing customers and stuff, and just break down a list of how we can approach each angle in a creative way. And so the creative testing process is just like we use the Golden Bear method to give us directional information on where to go, and that tells us.
For those that don't know, Golden Bear is part of the MBA program that is looking for the branded estimated action rate. Thank you to Stephanie at Menlo Park for coming up with that back in 2018. But we're just trying to test to make content that people want to engage with so that we're good business partners with Facebook. And then from there, I just wanted to define that because some people might not know what that is.
Okay,
so, I mean, I know what it is, but like,
yeah, and that's one of the best one of the best things I learned how to do. And now my testing process used to take, a long length of time, who knows how much money spent, but with this method, it doesn't cost too much to test to get that information.
Yeah, that market research is done for, relatively speaking, like pennies. And then, so let me try to run some of the stuff off. So you're doing you're validating your elements to be good partner with Facebook. And then you're running dynamic creatives at Broad,
100%,
and then scaling budgets with the winning ads.
Yep.
And okay, cool. I just wanted to I feel like I know what that is, but everybody modifies.
Yeah. It's I think most people are trying to do too much with their ad accounts in the first place. Like you don't need much if you're running good. If you're just running ads people want to see. Like that's the core of it. You could try so many things, but at the end of the day, it's people are on their phones, and you just show them stuff they want to see, and that they can click through and also make a purchase off of.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you this. One of the stat points sunk into my brain a few years ago at Menlo Park was the average person swipes the height of the Eiffel Tower on a daily basis. And like, this is my phone, and I've got like the big iPhone, right? Not that I'm a baller. I just want more space, right? Anybody can get an iPhone. It's not a status symbol. My point is, this is smaller than my face. I've been to the top of the Eiffel Tower. That is a whole ton of my face stacked on top of each other. Like the amount of time it would take you to do that. And you have to stop that scroll and make people want to engage. Like attention is earned. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think I want to throw out this shout out to Barry Hot or at Bing Hot, if you want to check him out on Twitter. He posted it in a way that I want to give him absolute credit for. It's that every social ad is skippable. You don't have to watch any ads if you don't want to. So, like, you have to be able to make people want to engage. Otherwise, you're just spending a lot of money to piss people off. Mm-hmm. That's not a really good business model as far as, at least in my experience, pissing everybody off and demanding money doesn't really work.
That's how people do it, though.
It is. So let me hear something about, like, I'm curious. You said about the MBA program, and I know that some people might be interested or curious about it. I'm really interested to know, like, where were you at when you found that, and what was that experience like for you going through the program, and now you're in the alumni, process of that program. What does that look like for you? I'm always curious to see what people have to say about it, and I think a lot of other folks are interested to be like, is this like what am I getting into potentially?
Yeah, going into it, I came in with an open mind, and sometimes as a person trying to learn. Just try to be at the top of their game. You don't know what the next step is. Like, you don't know what the next level is. You don't know what you don't know. But I did have confidence just from, following you and a couple of your lectures and stuff, and applied some of the work, and it worked. So I went into there thinking, like, I mean, it can't hurt, it can't hurt. And after the first lesson, I felt like it was worth it already. And the first lesson was the measurement mm-hmm. Stuff. Yeah. I was like, this was, if I had nothing else, this is probably paid for the program itself. And then as I kept going through the program, I'm just like, my mind, there was one part of me that was kind of like, where's the Facebook stuff? Yeah.
That's true. Absolutely. Yeah. You're right.
But then I realized by the end of the program, I'm like, none of that even matters.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. Matter. It's a complete waste of time.
I'm able to produce all these results, and then just not even really. I'm not even thinking. The thing is, I'm not talking about Facebook too much because I'm not thinking about it as much anymore. I'm thinking about business growth, and that's a lot of conversations my clients and I are having. Like, where can we develop the LTV, AOV, all these other strategies? Because Facebook, by the end of the program, Facebook wasn't an issue anymore for me. Yeah.
I love that you said that, and I talk to people about that all the time. Like, I've gotten feedback like, where's the Facebook stuff? Like you said, and I'm like, it doesn't matter.
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah. If somebody's telling you the key to running Facebook is something that having to do with an audience or a bidding model or attribution or some tracking, like, they fundamentally have missed the boat. Like, they're at best several years behind what you should be doing, because none of that matters. And I keep trying to drive it home to people, like no interest group's going to improve your LTV, right? Like no retargeting audience improves incremental lift across a bunch of channels in a sustainable fashion. Like that's not a thing. Like maybe broad retargeting, like in scale at like $20,000-$30,000 a day. I mean, I can point to that is helpful, but like that's also just helping me ramp up my email open rates and my search volume. Like, because I have so much scale. And the fact that the solution here has very little to do, I think, realistically speaking, to call it out, probably 30% of the program has anything to do with actual in Facebook work.
Yeah.
And realistically, your time managing brands, I'm curious, what percentage of your time during the week are you actually in Facebook doing something?
Yeah, probably probably once a week per account.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
That's about right. Yeah. And more than that just isn't necessary.
Yeah. No, it's great. First month in, after learning how to measure right, track right, we had a client tracking the marketing mix, and we found that the $500 a day they were spending on Google wasn't adding any lift to the account whatsoever. So made that change and immediately saved the client like $400 a day and spend that day. That looked it good on attribution, but didn't grow the business. So I have one account that was running on like a 0.8 ROAS. That sounds horrible, but that was the move we needed to make. And
it sounds good to me. Yeah, you're focusing on growing the business.
Yeah. So it's like that measurement piece and the testing piece and the all the success, the management piece is combined in a way to where I was just blown away how you found all these pieces to work together.
I will tell you,
years
of very enthusiastic conversations with people that were smarter and better and more experienced than I was, because I went in there like as the incredibly egotistical dude that knew I was smarter than everybody else in the room, and all I had to do was day trade Facebook till the cows came home, like and take as much credit for everything as possible. But when you leave an ad agency and you actually have to start growing businesses, and you realize that I had investment bankers turn down 9-figure exits because our Facebook data didn't mean anything. I had like 7 pages of a 120-page deck about return on ad spend and stuff. And it was literally just like they avoided it, the entire thing. It was almost a red flag that I went to them and said, well, we care about ROAS, because nobody cares about ROAS other than a marketer. It just doesn't mean anything. And yeah, so like, I mean, some of that system and process stuff is things that I've taken from Textile, right? Some of it I've taken from Guthy Renker. Some of it I've taken from Omnicom. Some of it I've taken from 310 Nutrition and My Life, and some really great bosses and mentors that I've had the pleasure of working with. Marina from 310 and Guthy Renker, and Mike So from DeBooks and Textile, and one of my mentors, Ben, who was a director at Omnicom and then Hearts and Sciences and ran his own agency. Ben and I actually won this TV show called The Pitch back in like 2013 that ended up resulting in there being like a gifting button on Facebook for like 6 months. You could buy like gift cards and stuff. And now he's a VC. And like having conversations with him, I talked to him about PSM, and he's like, like, how is that not what people are talking about? And I'm like, yeah, nobody cares apparently about like the profit margin per customer. They're just looking for ROAS. And he's like, how are people successful? Like, what is going? He's so far removed from the desperation of ad agencies to take credit that he's not realizing like the scope of how far away people trying to make successful businesses, how far away they are from looking at any data that actually matters. I think one of the conversations I had with him that was eye-opening was, we were talking about audiences, right? And he was like, well, why are they using audiences? And I said, well, you can get, people talking about results and all this stuff. And he broke it down to me, and I've quoted him ever since. And I'll give him the credit again here. Ben Tiernan, by the way, if anybody cares. Great dude. He was like, if you run 5 audiences and you bring 5 different types of customers in your store to sell a product, that means you have to have 5 different types of customer service folks, 5 different landing pages, 5 different email journeys, all to sell one specific product. And realistically, probably only 1, maybe 2 of those types of customers are all you need to get to $1 million. Why are you wasting the rest of your money on everything else that's bad for business? And I didn't have a good answer because I also happen to agree with him. But like, the point of it is that like, how far away people are from what is actually successful, I think comes from the point that we've been talking about folks trying to make Facebook look good. Yeah. And there's a big, big difference from making Facebook look good and actually growing successful businesses and having that confidence where you're spending an hour a week, 2 hours a week, maybe actually doing the like Facebook work for an account, and your results are tremendously improved because you're not getting in the way. Yeah. I said this on a podcast with Jason Wong, or Egg Roll, if you want to check it out, from Go Lashes, really smart guy. And it was like, you're the manager. It's called Ads Manager, right? The more moves you make, the more you micromanaging the machine, the less successful it's going to be. Have you ever had a manager that micromanaged every move you made that you were happy with and you succeeded at that job? The answer is probably no. It's the worst. So that being said, just like, I'm really curious about, what do you think about the future of things? How do you feel like things are going? I'm also going to drop this in here. By the way, if you want to talk to Andy, you go to getwithandy.com. Check that out. And that's also at getwithandy on Twitter. I'm going to just leave that up here just so we can, talk to about like, what does the future look like? Do you think? How, moving into the summer in Q3 and 4, how confident are you in what you're doing? And what is the next couple of moves for you?
Yeah, like you said, it's like your buddy is so far removed from what other people are doing with their account. I feel like this opened there's levels to it, and it opened a stairway for me to get to the next level. And where I used to be talking about like cost per clicks and these just things that don't matter, the conversations are very different. I actually did so well on an ad account. One of my clients just had me like, hey, we're starting a TikTok agency. Do you want to lead it? I don't know anything about TikTok. We trust you. And just using the principles that, because they're principles, they're almost universal. That TikTok account has been doing better than ever before. So yeah, it's like at double the spend. 20, lowered CPA, double the spend, everything. So I think the future for me at least is there's a lot of doors opening, a lot of opportunities to take. I've definitely raised my prices since before.
Good, good. Charge more. You deserve it.
Yeah. I was able to drop clients who are just not fun to deal with sometimes because I need them. So yeah, this is it allowed me to just spend more time focusing on other things. The stress isn't there worrying about day to day because I know the next move.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the next move is always, actually, there's a couple of moves in front of me if that next move doesn't work. So, the future looks bright. And even with the iOS, I was 15, 16. I'm not really worried about it. I'm not even too worried about if, people was panicking about Facebook will still be around. I'm like, it doesn't really matter because just the things I learned, the macro things, the principles are fundamental in wherever it takes me from now on.
Yeah, I love that, man. I mean, I think, what I'm really getting out of all of that is, one, you've gone from, I remember our conversations early on about, you're like, I just need to learn how to make Facebook work. Like, you're trying to figure out like the levers and buttons and switches to hit behind the scenes, right? And how to be confident about what are those 18 things I got to line up? What are the 5 clicks I have to be spinning? And like, what are the magic words? And it's like, none of that matters. And really what I love hearing is just this, because you now understand fundamental marketing principles of, to be fair, scientific method, data, how optimized CPM environments work, measuring for incremental lift, time, and team management for profit. You got dropped into a platform that nobody really knows how to necessarily do things work. And just by applying bare bones basic marketing principles, you were able to 2x performance of people trying really hard. And I think that is, I for more than anything, like, that just makes me so happy and so proud, because that's what I think it's all about. Is, while, you know, for instance, in this case, it's called the Facebook Ads MBA program. It's really a digital marketing and CMO development program. And you came, you know, months ago in as trying to figure out how to make Facebook work. And now you legitimately could be the CMO of any business that's running digital marketing, and in part-time efforts, absolutely amplify anything that they're currently doing, because you have a system and a process for repeatable and scalable results and accountability and transparency. And you're not tied to silly things like audiences or attribution or modeling or bid models or whatever, any of this just shiny object syndrome stuff. And that makes me so happy, because, like, I've been saying that for years, and it just, every time I see the light shine, you know, we have a lot of one-on-ones in the program, and I think I said then too, like, every time we talk, we're just like, man, just like another layer got pulled back and pulled back and pulled back. And by the end of it, we were just like, I don't know how much more we have to talk about. I think that this is a lot of fun. Other stuff, like, that was great. It went from, like, I just want to be able to be confident in what I'm doing, to I legitimately am now running I'm running a completely other channel for a completely different thing that didn't even exist when we started. And that's excellent, man. Like, that's the kind of turnaround that.
Yeah. And it's great. It's great for the clients too, because now they're not only getting results on Facebook, we can see how the entire business operates. And it's as eye-opening for them and for myself.
Yeah, man. Well, look, dude, I really appreciate it. I know that we've been chatting for a bit here. I just want to say thanks a lot. I really enjoyed the time, and I think I want to just end with one other thing, and then we'll plug some stuff. Just like, what is the experience now that you're done the program? Theoretically, you know, you're done the one-on-one time. What is that experience like for you as an alumni of the program, and how you're using it, and what those relationships in the community is worth for you now, even though you've kind of gone through everything?
I actually just had a text with Vinny in the program.
Nice.
Yeah. And the relationships there, and I actually learned a lot from a couple of people in the private Facebook group too, like Jared, his creative strategy. Actually, I created a whole thing for a client based on his one of his inputs, and that's been helping out a lot. Kelvin, always fun. He always asks the question I want to ask before I'm able to ask.
He's so good.
Yeah, so I'm like, I just wait for him. What's he's gonna ask in a better way than I can ask it. So yeah, he's great. And the group, you just post something, get feedback, and I love that I'm still able to be a part of that group even after the program's over, because there might be those like one-off questions that
sure and the group's like doubled in size since you initially joined, and that's awesome. Great. I mean, we're getting new people every week from all around the world. Literally in the last 7 days, we've had South Africa joined yesterday. Our second or third group from Australia joined last week, and we've had a couple Eastern Europeans, somebody from Tel Aviv. Like, Americans are almost the minority in this group, and there's people literally all over the world making things happen. And that's
the great part is they're figuring out strategies that maybe we never even thought of, and eventually everybody's gonna become an alumni and start solving these high level problems, and that'd be fun to look at.
I gotta say, like, I had no idea when I started this program that this community would be I honestly think it's the most valuable part of the program. Like once you get through the disciplines, like once you get through the one-on-one time, we get you up through the system and process and understand how Facebook works, all of that stuff. Like what I get out of that program, what I get out of the community, I get like just it's amazing on a daily basis. I see all these conversations and I see the stuff. You know, it's funny. One of our program members had a clothing business and he joined last year and graduated and then had a full-on exit, like 100% after Black Friday, like massive personal check. And he's like, I don't know what to do now. I'm going to put something together. And one of the other people that joined ended up connecting with them because they're on an apparel brand that's overseas. And it was like, oh, you have 3PL connections inside the United States who want to break into the market. Like, that's amazing. Like, they probably profited on joining the program the day they signed that contract and saved $10,000, $15,000 a month. Like, that's fantastic. Stupid. Yeah, like, I couldn't possibly think of that. But anyway, I really appreciate it, man. I look forward to, every week we have the classes and, we get to see each other inside the group. But I really appreciate your time here. And I just want to say thanks. And I left up the talk with Andy at getwithandy.com, but check that out. And I'll leave the final word to you, man. If there's anything else that you want to promote or anything that you want to drop, your handles, whatever it is you possibly want to do, because I'm sure some people are like, well, I don't know if I want to do it. Can I just talk to Andy? It's like, well, that's how you talk to Andy. It's literally right there in the black and white. But anything you could have as the last word, man, I'd love to leave it to you.
Yeah. If anybody's on the fence, I'd say the return on investment on this. And like I said, I'm someone who joined a lot of the other programs and spent money using all those different techniques and everything. This is just, I didn't know there were levels to it until I joined the program. So the return on investment is crazy. The stress level, time just worrying about managing or figuring out the next step. Like sometimes you just stay up at night or just Googling all day trying to figure out the next thing. I don't really have to do that anymore. With this, I'm considering opening up my own e-commerce brand, next, or I'm trying to get put in front of agencies that I didn't want to start yet, like just the opportunities and doors that opens up for this is crazy, whether you're doing stuff for your client or yourself. I don't think I haven't seen anything else out there like this, like structured this way. I just want to give credit to you. I know I put out a lot of case studies and stuff just in this call. There's a lot of results, but I'm attributing it. All that happened in these last 3 or 4 months. So there's got to be something to it, right?
Probably. I love that, man. Thank you so much. That warms the cockles of my heart. I don't know where that comes from, but I'm going to use it. That's an awkward thing to say. Let's leave on that. Andy, I really appreciate it, man. I'm sure I'll see you again in some more chats and whatnot. If you guys want to talk to Andy, anybody, it is literally, once again, like right there. It is talk to Andy at getwithandy.com. It's also at getwithandy on Twitter or whatever else. Go talk to the guy. If you need some, if you're on the fence or you want some help with what you're doing, hey, Andy, you can probably help you be successful too. Why not? That's what we do here. We help people be successful. Less stress, more success. That's the whole thing.
Love it.
That being said, man, I once again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And Caden says, late, just missed it. Damn, don't worry. It's completely available to watch on replay whenever you want to. Go to the YouTube, go to Twitter, go to Facebook. It's all there. With that being said, man, I'll let you go. Thank you so much. And just so happy to see you successful, dude. That's what it's all
Always
about.
great talking to you.
See you, buddy.